There are stories that echo through time, some whispered around campfires, others buried in dusty archives, but a few clawed their way back into the light, refusing to be forgotten. Tonight we explore a haunting so terrifying, so unrelenting, that it drove a family to the brink of madness. This is the true story of the Smurl family haunting. Welcome to Dark Whispers, where fear finds its voice. If you love to listen to paranormal investigations, creepypastas, and unsolved mysteries, do surely subscribe and hit the bell icon for more notifications. And if you love to listen to any particular story, do hit us back in the comments. And without any further ado, let's get back to our story. It began like many American dreams. In 1973, Jack and Janet Smurl, a devout Catholic couple from Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania, moved into a modest duplex at 328 Chase Street in the quiet town of West Pittston. The house wasn't perfect, old plumbing, peeling walls, and a slight musty smell, but it was affordable, with room for Jack's aging parents next door and enough space for their growing family. 4 daughters, love, and hope. They rolled up their sleeves and began fixing it. But even from the start, something felt off. A freshly painted wall would soon seep into dark stains. Tools vanished and reappeared across the house. The air would grow oppressively heavy in certain rooms, as if the house were holding its breath. And the silence at night, it wasn't peace, it was waiting. One evening, Janet heard faint sobbing in the attic. Jack climbed up. Nothing. But the crying returned, again and again. They brushed it off. The mind plays tricks in old homes. But the house had only just begun its game. By 1977, the strange events took on a sinister edge. Janet would be in the kitchen and hear her name called, soft, childlike, from the basement. But no one was there. The family dog began growling at corners of empty rooms. Sometimes it would whimper and refuse to enter certain areas altogether. Doors slammed with unnatural force. Lights flickered even after the electricians checked the wiring. And the smell? A foul stench like rotting meat and sulfur would fill the home randomly and vanish just as quickly. At night, Janet felt eyes watching her from the shadows. Then came the apparitions. She described seeing a tall black mass, human-shaped but faceless, moving from room to room. Her daughter Dawn once screamed when she saw a white figure floating outside her bedroom window on the 2nd floor. But what truly broke their sense of safety was the physical attacks. Janet was shoved down the stairs. Her mother-in-law claimed she was slapped by invisible hands. Then, Jack started experiencing something more terrifying. It began with nightmares. Jack would dream of a withered hag, her skin like leather, her eyes glowing red, crawling on his chest, whispering blasphemies and threats in a tongue he didn't understand. But soon, the dreams bled into reality. He would wake up paralyzed, unable to breathe, his body pinned by invisible force. On multiple occasions, Jack claimed he was sexually assaulted by a demonic entity, a creature he described as part woman, part beast, with decayed flesh and cold, clawed hands. He was ashamed, afraid, and tormented. Janet too began experiencing sexual violations from this unseen force. It became clear the entity was growing stronger, feeding off fear, tension, and despair. Furniture would levitate. A chandelier swung violently during dinner. Shadowy figures lurked in mirrors just out of sight. The daughters began sleepwalking. One of them awoke screaming, claiming something tried to pull her under the bed. The house was no longer just haunted, it was infested and possessed. They turned to their church. A priest visited. He blessed the home, and for a while the activity slowed. But then it returned again, this time much more worse than before. The entity began mimicking voices. Janet would hear Jack calling, only to find him asleep in another room. Whispers filled the halls. Growls came from the vents. Objects flew across rooms. In 1985, with no answers and their sanity fraying, the Smurls contacted Ed and Lorraine Warren, the famed paranormal investigators who had investigated the Amityville case. Lorraine, a clairvoyant, immediately sensed the presence. According to her, 4 entities plagued the house: a confused human spirit, a young girl's ghost, a violent and malevolent spirit, and a demonic, inhuman force that was controlling the others like puppets. Ed believed that the demon had attached itself to the family and would follow them even if they moved. The Warrens brought in priests. 3 exorcisms were performed over the year. During one of them, witnesses described walls were trembling, a crucifix spinning wildly on the wall, a shadow slithering across the ceiling. But the demon laughed at their efforts. As the Warrens went public with the case, the media swarmed. News outlets camped outside the house. The Smurls were accused of fabricating the story for attention and fame. Some claimed Jack's stress, combined with the pressures of Catholic guilt and media hype, had created a shared delusion, a psychological haunting. But others believed. Neighbors reported strange noises, cries, and screams from the Smurl house, even when no one was home. Local priests confirmed that something unnatural lingered in that place. The story reached national attention. It divided believers and skeptics alike. But the family didn't care about the public opinion. They just wanted to be saved. They just wanted peace. In 1987, the Smurls finally left the house. Shortly after, a church-authorized exorcism was performed again. This time, the house fell eerily silent. The cold spots were gone. The smells vanished. The shadows receded. Jack and Janet began to rebuild their lives. They co-wrote a book with the Warrens titled The Haunted, which recounted their harrowing and terrifying experiences. In 1991, a made-for-TV movie was based on their story and aired nationwide. They never returned to 328 Chase Street, but the questions still remain. Did the demons truly leave? Or did it follow them, clinging silently, waiting for another moment of weakness? Today, the house is occupied by another family. They reported nothing out of the ordinary, but perhaps the demon is still sleeping, waiting and watching for its next prey. Sometimes evil doesn't show its face. It hides behind walls and whispers in nightmares. The Smurls survived their haunting, but now without scars. What would you do if your home turned against you? This has been Dark Whispers. Until next time, keep your doors locked and never ignore the shadows.